Good afternoon. My name's Angus. I'm 15 years old and I identify as homosexual. The first time I heard the word gay was not in the context of sexuality, but as an insult. I was 10 years old and another boy seemingly believed that my stripy jumper from TK Maxx was clearly an outwardly expression that I like people of the same gender. Growing up, I'm afraid I've received more than verbal abuse for being a misfit, but I've never let it deter me from being myself. Whether that be wearing bright green Doc Marten boots, doing ballet, or coming out as openly gay. I unfortunately can't say the same for everyone else. It's very easy to do just about anything with sufficient support from friends and family, but to stand completely alone is a terrifying experience and something that most people will have experienced in one form or another over the course of their lives, although usually only for short periods. However, when you feel isolated, alienated, and barricaded from the rest of society all day, every day, it's a very different experience. Crosses has provided the support needed for me to come to terms with my sexuality, as well as making me feel safe enough to come out openly, something achieved through the use of anti-homophobic posters, proving to me the school's sympathy for LGBTQ students. But it has also gone much further than I could have ever wished for, and it is only now, looking back, that I realise just how fortunate I was to come to the school and how useful these facilities have been. From the school's LGBTQ support group to the inclusion of homosexual elements in health and relationship classes, it's these extra elements that have made me feel almost like being gay is something normal and a part of everyday life. To talk just a bit about the support group, Spectrum, this is one of the things that has had the biggest impact on me. We meet once every fortnight and discuss everything from how our week's been to what the current advances in LGBTQ rights are on a global scale. It's a great opportunity to get excited about upcoming Pride events, chat about our thoughts and feelings, report any offensive behaviour, and just generally relieve our minds of any troubles we may be facing. It also importantly proves to each individual that they are not alone, that this isn't a fault in our human nature. Everything that happens in the meeting, including those who attend, is completely confidential, protecting the privacy of everyone, but especially those who may not be ready to reveal their orientation to others. Although our group is led by 2 of the teaching staff, with other members of staff often getting involved and helping out, I've heard of other similar groups in our schools that are student-led and are very successful. When it comes to picking a secondary school, children don't look to see if it's LGBTQ friendly. In fact, most people, such as myself, don't work out their sexuality until they reach adolescence. I was very lucky to end up in such an accepting school environment, and it has allowed me to become a lot more comfortable with who I am, but most of the students aren't as lucky. Scared of the reactions from peers, family, and even teachers, many young LGBTQ people either keep their sexuality and/or gender identity secret or try to deny it themselves completely. These young people hold on to secrets that, if released, could change their lives drastically. A few of the possible negative outcomes that have occurred as a result of people coming out include being thrown out of their own homes, disowned by whole family or friendship groups, beaten, sometimes to the point of fatality, fired from their job, and in some cases driven to suicide. The current attitude towards homosexuals and transgenders has undoubtedly improved dramatically from 10 years ago, never mind 30 years ago, but we've still got a long way to go, and progress can only continue to happen with the correct support. Love and self-expression are not only part of our human rights, but also part of our human experience, and to oppress these would be an unthinkable cruelty. There is a fantastic quote from David Levithan that states, "Love is so powerful, how could you ever wish it on anyone? Yet love is so painful, how could you ever stand in its way?" And yet as a species, we always have, from the taboo on mixed race relationships that is still found around the world today, to people being peer pressured into not going out with someone because they're worried of what their friends will think. So where do we start to tackle this problem? How can we? In the case of most children, homo and transphobic opinions are developed from their parents' own opinions or from attitudes in school. Therefore, there is a huge problem with LGBTQ student safety, not only in school, but out of it as well. What young people need to realise is that there isn't anything wrong with being LGBTQ, and there is something that is becoming much more widely accepted. To perfectly express this, I will now quote our Year 9 rugby captain, who when asked what his opinions of LGBTQ rugby players was, he simply replied, "I don't really see what the fuss is all about. As long as they can play rugby, they're all right in my books." It is this level of indifference that is what I wish all people could appreciate. We don't want to be hated, nor do we want special treatment, simply for people to realise that we're not really any different from them. This is what young people need to understand. I want for every young person, no matter where they live or what school they go to feel they have the liberty to express themselves openly and to not hold back on any aspect of who they are, even if that means changing their sex or asking someone out of the same gender. And I want them to do it without fear of rejection, fear of being attacked, fear of being isolated, or even fear of their lives. I'm sure many of us will be aware of the horrors that occurred this weekend at the gay nightclub in Orlando. The biggest mass shooting in American history, with 49 dead and 53 injured, has been the cause of unimaginable amounts of heartbreak and has left the world, but mostly the LGBTQ community, shaken, disturbed, and fearful for what may follow. This attack can undoubtedly be classified as a hate crime and stresses just how important it is that we stand by all of the LGBT community in this time of mourning and grave concern. It also proves to us why it is so crucial that we continue to educate as many people as possible on the tolerance and the respect that should be expected for this community in order to reduce the ignorance and hatred that is causing so much pain and terror. As a school, we work very closely with several LGBTQ charities, including Stonewall, Bernardo's Positive Identities team, and recently the charity Just Like Us, who we are honoured to be cooperating with in order to launch the Diversity Week in school.
Diversity Week will be a celebration